How many in this room play golf or follow golf? Okay, that's a good, healthy number. So something really exciting happened yesterday. And Gary Woodland, who's a brand ambassador for Wilson, he won his first major golf tournament, so US Open. And obviously very happy for him, not only because he's a great player, but he's an even better person. And what he did is something even bigger. So no other company has this record where the players playing with their clubs have won more majors than Wilson. So that's 62 majors starting in the 1920s. And the other part of the record is every single decade, there's been at least one player who's won a major golf tournament playing Wilson. So he's kept that trend alive, and I'm so glad, giving a shout out to my team who have done this phenomenal job in getting this done. So really proud of them. And after that shameless plug, which had nothing to probably do with whatever we are going to talk about, let's try to get into that. So let's start with who I am. I'm Aman Grewal, and nothing excites me more than the unknown. And you will probably be able to tell that from the journey I've had so far. So after graduation, I started in the merchant navy, but very quickly switched over to consulting in the merchant marine business and traveled to over 40 countries in the first 5 years of my career. So exploring the unknown. And after that, and after my MBA, I decided to get into e-commerce and marketing in travel as well as retail. So again, more and more unknowns. But even then, I did not realize that the kind of unknown that I was getting into this line of work, and in the same line of work that most of you are too, which is the customer, understanding the customer, and that's one of the biggest unknowns. So the thing is, if you go back 15, 20 years, right, you could walk into a store, you could pick a book, a marketing book from the shelf, and you could read it, and you could be a really good marketer by following what it said. You could run a really good marketing organization. But that does not work today. In today's world of individualized interactions that are personalized to the level that they are meaningful to our customers, there's not a single book out there that you can pick and do what it says. So lucky for us, we have AI, which is the topic for today. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I say there's nothing that is as impactful or as powerful and disruptive to a large degree as AI in driving those one-on-one interactions. And that's the reason it is so good. So that's the holy grail. That's the shiny new tool we have to work with. Here's the other thing with AI. There's a lot of technology and science information available about AI, but very little that marketers probably in this room can use to take that information and see, how do I leverage AI? So as we jump into this thing, I'm going to show you something. This is a painting that was auctioned at Christie's. Their early estimate on the painting was somewhere between $7,000 to $10,000. But this painting, it sold for over $400,000. And if you look at the right-hand bottom corner of the painting, what do you see? There's actually a formula there. So this is one of the first ever paintings that was created by AI. And obviously, so AI is making big names in the field of driving high auction prices for paintings. So why, if you think of it, why is that? Like, why was AI able to come up with something that compelling that was able to sell at such a high price? There's something called generative adversarial network that was used to create this. I'm not going to use a lot of technical terms tonight, mostly because I don't know them. But the way this painting was created was it has two different algorithms working together. One is called the generator, and the other one is called the discriminator. So what the generator does is you feed it. So these people, the group that's listed there, Obvious, which is a collective, they fed it paintings from the 14th century up to the 20th century. And after like going through hundreds of thousands of these paintings, the generator would create a painting as close as possible to that, and the discriminator would tell the generator that whether it can discern any difference between the painting created by the generator versus the real paintings that it saw. And this happened back and forth, and that was the learning process. So after going through this millions of permutations, it came up with this. So that's, if you want to understand what AI does and what it really is, that's a good way of understanding that. The thing with AI is it's very easy to be overwhelmed by it, but I would suggest don't be. So I'm going to show you a few people. See if you can recognize them. Or if you can recognize any common thread between these people. Anyone? So these are not real people. You can go to this website. This person does not exist. And you can generate, every time you refresh that page, it will generate a new face for you. None of these people are real. So now, if a random website can use AI to generate these lifelike faces, what it tells you is this technology is not too far from anybody in this room. Definitely not. It's not the world today that companies, the big corporations like Palantir, own AI or own the whatever the biggest advancement in AI today is. People, kids in their garage are doing great. And Mohan Sani, he's a big influence for me. I first met him when I was doing my MBA at Kellogg, and he's still a professor there. And he's one of the smartest people sitting at the intersection of marketing and technology. And he said this, which is actually great news for everybody in this room. AI tools and technologies are getting commoditized and democratized. What that means is you all have access to it, and access from multiple different sources. You don't have to wait for somebody to come and give you some special AI tool for you to work with. This is available today, and it's available to all of you. And this is at the cutting edge of AI technology. So here's the thing: if this is AI is more and more a commodity now. So where is the value in AI? The value in AI is really with you all coming up with use cases by harnessing your domain expertise in driving that. And I'll get more and more into that as we talk through this. So let's take a step forward and go closer to marketing from an AI example. And there's a company called Data Grid. It's a Japanese company. And what it does is it basically creates AI people and clothes them. And there's no sound here, so I'll keep talking as we do that. What you'll see is it's creating multiple versions. So you can actually tell this AI that make this person 20 years older, give them a pair of glasses, make them taller. And you can tell the AI all these things, and the AI will actually do it. So obviously, not surprisingly, Jeff Bezos and Amazon are using AI to solve a lot of problems to drive a lot of growth there, and problems that were seemingly in the realm of science fiction just a few years back. So I know there are a lot of retailers in this room, so this is my only reference to Amazon in the whole thing. I'm not going to terrorize you with any more Amazon references. Moving on, I think it's important to understand that AI is not this shiny new tool, right? AI has existed for over 60 plus years, and and today that original AI is called the good old-fashioned AI. And what it did was it was able to sense, and it was able to adapt, and it was able to reason, and that was one of the first programs ever written. The next level of advancement in AI is called machine learning. So the difference between the first and this one is here, the more this machine learns from its wins and from its losses, and also from getting access to much more data. And that's a real big thing for us, because what it does is it takes the human element, the human biases, out of making good decisions. And it introduces, by the way, AI biases. But we are not going to talk about that today, hopefully, but I'm happy to talk, though. And then the next level is deep learning, which is basically where you take machine learning and you layer it on top of a human brain type of environment. And this gets very close to how you and I, we talk, we hear, we see, and makes it a much more natural language perception as well as delivery of AI. And this is where most of the cutting edge improvements in AI are really happening. Now, so we spoke about all these, and but if AI came out 60 plus years back, why is it only becoming a thing now? And really the answer is because we have the access to the level of computing that we have never had before. That's like one of the top drivers. And beyond that, it's also the amount of data we are collecting. Ben showed a slide earlier. 90% of all data was collected in the last 2 years. Another way to look at it is the data collected in the last 1 year was more than the data that was ever collected before that. So, and this is something that's going to continue for quite some time. So this explosion is happening as we speak. And then the other beauty of the way AI is being developed now, when I was talking kids in the garage doing that, is that it's causing a lot more faster improvements in the algorithms that are driving these AIs. And that's helping drive most of this improvement. So where does that put you all? Where does that put you in terms of adding value in the overall chain? Like I said earlier, it's really, really important for you to leverage, as marketing executives, your domain expertise to figure out the right problems to solve with AI. If AI hasn't been able to do anything today, it's to select the problem you need to solve for you. So you have to still do it yourself. And so before I get into that, here's a very long-held tenet of business as well as marketing, which is there's never a credit for solving the wrong problem. And it holds true even in this space. What that means is you have to come up with a business problem. Now, for me, I started at Wilson less than a year back. And after moving from Shop Your Way, where I basically built the AI system in-house, or I helped build, I didn't build it. I helped build that system in-house. Here, my goal is to solve problems that Wilson as a company faces. So some of those are, it's tough to pick the right size. If you go on Wilson.com and you're trying to pick the right size for you yourself, it can be a hit and a miss. There are multiple ways you can do it better, but there's one way that is better than all of them. Models are expensive. I showed you the example of the data grid company, and models are time consuming. Does anybody here share this particular problem where their customer support is inconsistent? I have that. So how do you take business problems that really mean something to you and start there? But here's the other part of this. You have to clearly identify a business value associated with that problem. And by clearly identify, I mean you have to attach a solid metric to it. That could be sales, could be leads, could be customer satisfaction, could be customer engagement. Any one of those will work, but make sure you have a very, very solid business value associated with it. And after that, you have to do is identify the customer value. And this is really important. The idea here is, are you, by doing whatever you're planning to do, are you going to surprise and delight your customer? Because if you are not going to do that, then stop right there. Go back to the business problem part and start again. But if you are doing that, and a way to judge that is, am I making my customer's life easier, or am I helping them do something better, faster, right? So those are the ways you identify that. And then, if you have passed that part two, that's when you get to your data strategy. So if you're following along so long, you've figured out, like, this is not any different than any other business problem you have to solve. So make sure you figure those pieces out before you even start talking about data strategy. And when it comes to data, you have to talk about, do I even have it, right? And whatever I have, is it enough? So these are really, really important questions. And there are a lot of third-party data augmenters that actually link into a lot of the AI. And what they do is they give you access to incremental data without having you to leave the AI platform. So a lot of companies do that. And once you do that, once you have figured that piece out, you look at it and you go, what's my modeling approach? Now, this is the one of the GAN, or the generative adversarial network, is one way of setting up an algorithm. But there are many other ways of doing this. And you can either build this in-house if you are interested in hiring data scientists on your team, or you can use an AI out-of-the-box solution. And when I mentioned in my previous role, I actually built it in-house. In my current role, I'm actually trying to get to a more out-of-the-box solution because that seems the right answer for me in my situation. And the answer could be different for you in all of your different situations. And once you do that, whichever path you take, what you have to make sure as you set up your approach is that your model, if you're building it in-house, make sure your people have set it up to be trained internally, or if you're using an out-of-the-box solution, make sure it is something that it trains itself. So that the whole purpose of AI is actually served. It's not a simple regression hiding as an AI. And if I ask you a question, when was the last time you went to a conference and you did not hear the word AI, you'll have to go back a few years, right? So a lot of these AIs may not actually be AIs. So keeping that in mind. Now, so in conclusion, I think one of the things as I wrap this up so that you guys can have your dinner, have your main course, is you have to make AI the core of your customer strategy. Because the cost of not doing that is immense. And especially when you have access to all this today, that you probably did not a few years back. So you have all the access you need, and not doing it is not going to get you to the answer. But the thing is, AI will get you to that answer faster, better, and more accurately than anything else out there. And having said that, I will also say this is just like any other business leap, especially for people who are not involved in AI today. This is just like any other business leap. Just don't be afraid. Be completely unafraid. Because what you will, as you go through this, what you will learn, what you will know, what you'll understand, you will get paid in spades. So thank you.